Monday night. Monday night A-League football. Does it get any better? Oh, mate. Monday night. This takes me back to last year or the years in the past, through the pandemic era where we had midweek games all over the place. I guess this isn't midweek, but it is a weekday. Excuse me, my name's Lockie. This is Coastwood Football, and we are here for a very exciting live watch along Brisbane Roar, Sydney FC, which is kicking off in about 15 minutes' time. Big match for both clubs, but especially the home side, Brisbane Roar. Not only are they returning to Suncorp Stadium, which was where they'll be playing their home games next season, the men's side. And it looks like a rainy Suncorp Stadium from the broadcast. This is a big opportunity for Brisbane Roar. They need to win. It's as simple as that. We've had a really exciting round of football so far. This is a game that Brisbane Roar need to win. It's as simple as that. Let's see who's in the chat. Sydney FC's here. Taggart's here. Hello, Costa. Sydney FC Fan TV's here. Julian's here. Good to see you guys tuning in nice and early. And yeah, man, how you guys feeling? How are we feeling? Monday. A few of you back at work. I don't know what states are back at school yet or whatnot. I know in the state of New South Wales, I don't think schools are back yet. Who are you supporting tonight? Asks Costa. I'd love to see Brisbane get a win. I would love to see Brisbane get a win. We're going to have a look at the lineups in just a second. We'll wait for a few more people to spill into the chat. I'd love to see a Brisbane win. Being a Mariners fan, Sydney FC is sort of one of our direct rivals, so I never like seeing Sydney FC win, to be fair. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me loud and clear. Let me know if you can see me clear. CCM season coming in with the thoughts on the Mariners being the first team to win a trophy in the regular season and not winning premiers. Thoughts on Mariners being the first team to win in the regular season. Are you referring to, of course, the the block of concrete from the F3? Yeah, fantastic for the Mariners to claim victory on Saturday night against Newcastle Jets and win the F3 Derby trophy. Thoughts about Adelaide and Perth yesterday. Absolute chaos. And I was kicking myself that we weren't doing a live watch along. Imagine if we were doing a live watch along for that one. I mean, we did our last live watch along was Friday night. Some of you guys were there for that. We did Wanderers Phoenix, which is a great game. I mean, Wanderers were putting on a masterclass there, 4-0. But man, what a match. For me, I said it on Twitter and I stand by it still now. For me, it was the craziest finish I've ever seen to an A-League game. And I stand by that. It was utterly insane. And here's the thing, right? Like, before it hit second half injury time, it was already a fantastic game. Like, Reds were up 3-2. It was back and forth. It was open. And it was already a fantastic game. And then in injury time, it just skyrocketed. And I was riding the roller coaster because, being a Mariners fan, I was rooting for glory because I want my Mariners to finish second, obviously. And a win for glory would have helped Mariners' chances next week. If Glory had won, Mariners would have just needed a draw next week away to Adelaide. Most likely that would have been enough to secure second place unless Wanderers won away to City next week. Dude, it was absolutely insane. Zimmerino got the equaliser. Then Taggart scored that screamer. And I was like, this is nuts. Perth have won it at the death, 2 late goals. And then Aaron Kunda had different plans. So yeah, great. Absolutely insane game. Taggart says it was great and sad and great. It was a roller coaster of emotions for all. John was at the game. It would have been absolutely insane, those final moments. Thoughts, dude, it's really disappointing to see that Jason Cummings could potentially be leaving. But look, if he's got a big move overseas, I don't blame him for taking it. But it's a big loss for the Mariners, of course. Brock says it's raining really heavy in Brisbane by the looks of things. Yeah, looking at the broadcast, it does look like a little bit of rainfall. Hopefully that doesn't impact the game too much. This Friday is going to be insane. Absolutely, yeah. We're going to have a look at the upcoming fixtures in just a second. Julian. Did you see the transfer rumors that Jamie Young could be going to Melbourne City, Scott going to Newcastle, Heward Bell to Western United? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of transfer rumors that are already circulating. We're not even at the end of the season, but the goalkeeper merry-go-round is one that's going around. But yeah, Aussie Scout on Twitter reported that one in regards to a number of goalkeepers moving around. And generally Aussie Scout's right with his with his calls. Are you worried about Mariners heading to Adelaide? Adelaide are very good at home this season. No. Yes, Adelaide are a class side and very good at home. But Mariners, in my opinion, are playing the best we have all season. We're in fantastic form. Sammy Silvera's untouchable at the moment. Jason Cummings will score a goal when you need him to. Marco Tulio's playing well. Benny Ancololo's playing with confidence once again. And defensively, we're looking strong. I mean, Caltech's back to his best. Hasn't been sent off for a few weeks, which is good. So I'm expecting an exciting game. We're doing a little watch along, of course, for that one on Friday. Bring back the podcast. We'd love to have the podcast back. Do you think next week's round could be possible preview for semi-finals? Adelaide Mariners, City Wanderers. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's definitely looking like that it could shape up that way. So it's really exciting. Next round is shaping up as like a little pre-finals final, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So it's definitely a bit like that. So, and what a coincidence too that it worked out like that. Like they obviously scheduled the round and the simultaneous kickoff like before the season even started. We've got 2 simultaneous kickoffs over the final round. We've got, of course, Friday night we'll be doing the live watch along for Adelaide Mariners and City Wanderers, and then Saturday afternoon we've got Sydney Jets and Bulls Wellington kicking off at the same time as well. That's right. Let's send Adelaide to the fourth. That's right. We're going to be talking about some of the upcoming games in just a second. But first of all, I want to have a look at the lineup for this game. We've got about 8 minutes till kickoff at Suncorp Stadium. Looks like a decent turnout of Sydney FC away fans in the away bay there as well. Let's zoom in on the Brisbane Roar lineup. And it's look, both lineups are strong. Both lineups are pretty much full strength. Maybe some players missing here and there, but overall, like this is as strong as it's going to get pretty much for both sides. Holmes, Hingett, Neville, Aldred, Courtney, Perkins. Brisbane Roar obviously have been, shifting between a back 5, back 4, but under Nick Green, they've pretty much been playing a back 4, which has been working for them. The midfields probably won't look like this. Expect Gamorka and Truan to be central, and for Jay O'Shea to be playing as sort of like a number 10 in behind Skepovic. Henry Hoare should be on the right wing, and Jez Lofthouse coming off the left wing. I do like that winger partnership of Henry Hoare and Jez Lofthouse, the 2 youngsters, really good. And overall, it's a decent lineup. I mean, I like what Nick Green is doing, getting Jay O'Shea in a more advanced position. As I mentioned, he'll be playing a little bit further forward, just playing off the shoulder of Skepovic. It's good. Jay O'Shea's in fantastic form. What do you got? Like 6 goals in his last 6 games. He's tearing it up in the moment. Sky Blues, strong lineup. Redmayne, Grant, Rodwell, Wilkinson, King. Jack Rodwell has started the last handful of games. He's finally getting a consistent run of the team. No injuries to report for Jack Rodwell. Burgess has had a really good season for the Sky Blues. Luke Bratton, Caceres. And then the front 3, which is a dangerous front 3. Robert Mack, Adam Lafondra, Joe Lolly. Obviously, Lafondra has been in and out of the side with injury. Joe Lolly and Mack have been pretty consistent for much of the season. There are goals. there. So on paper, I mean, that Sydney FC squad is definitely has more quality, in my opinion, more experience. Brisbane relying on a bit more youth with the likes of Courtney Perkins, Lofthouse, Henry Hoare, Kai Truan. There's more youth. There's more youth in that lineup. Random question from Brock. Who's got the number 9 kit for Raw? I don't think anyone does. And I'll tell you how I know that. And if you've missed it, we started the Brisbane Roar career mode just the other day. The video's up on the channel. We started the Brisbane Roar career mode. And I remember going through like the kit numbers, and I don't think anyone's on 9. So there's your answer. I don't think anyone's wearing 9 at the moment. Barry's in here. How's it going, Barry? Lafondra should feel at home with this weather. That's right. The Englishman, of course. Rainy Brisbane night. We've got about 5-ish minutes or so until kickoff. And that means it's time to get some predictions in. So Barry's jumping in with his 2-2 prediction. That's what I predicted too in my predictions video last week when I put it out on Wednesday. 2-2 is what I'm sticking with. So 3 predictions in the chat right now. Would love to see what you think of this game. But I'm sticking with 2-2 as well. This is a game that I think I've got a feeling Sydney FC will win. And if anyone's going to win it, it probably should be Sydney FC. But there's a chance here for Brisbane to step up. But I think it'll be an exciting game. Brisbane will have to go for it. They have to win. It's as simple as that. So 2-2. Sydney FC Fan TV says 3-2 to Sydney. Julian as well, sticking with the 2-2 prediction. Brock saying 2-1. Pretty big take. I'd love to see Raw to get the win. I'd love to see it. Costa's coming in here with a comment. Says, I found out how finals works. 3v6, 4v5. Highest rated team plays second. Lowest rated plays. Yep. That's right. That's right. Indeed, that looks all correct for me, Costa. Yeah, and that's the way it has been for the last few years. And for me, it's like the best final system that we can have. And I do like the obviously the second leg thing is cool as well. The two leg thing is cool as well. Getting to play home and away. So yeah, after this coming weekend, so not this weekend but the next one, we're straight into elimination finals, and we're going to be ramping up the content. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to be keeping up with all the previews, all the reviews, all the live streams, vlogs, what have you. There's a lot of exciting football to be played. John has dropped his prediction in. Says Sydney 2, Brisbane 1. Are you a Sydney FC fan? Most certainly not. As you can see, just down at the bottom, there we go. Bottom shelf there, I've got my Mariners members cap from a couple of seasons ago, and then we got the members scarf from, I think that's from the 17-18 season. So most certainly not a Sydney FC fan. In fact, I would call Sydney FC my rivals. Central Coast Mariners, that's right. CCM. Teams are in the tunnel. Brisbane Roar are wearing their away kit. Is there a reason for this? Brisbane Roar wearing their black away kit. Sydney FC in their home blue kit. Not sure if there's a specific reason for that. Didn't know that was happening. But anyway, Brisbane Roar are wearing their away black kit, which is a decent kit. But yeah, there you go. Julian says, I reckon 2-1 West United win for the A-League Women's on Sunday afternoon against Sydney FC. Of course, A-League Women's final coming up, grand final coming up this Sunday. Western United taking on Sydney FC at Combank Stadium Sunday afternoon. 2-1 win would be big for Western in their first ever season. Teams entering the field. Brisbane Roar in their away black kit. Sydney FC in the home blue kit. And looks like they've pretty much just opened that far grandstand. And looks like a decent turnout of fans considering the weather. Of course, this is the final game of the Anzac round, so we'll have the Anzac ceremony before the match. Barry says, I really like AFL's final system, but you need 8 teams in it. That's right. I mean, potentially we'll see something like that adopted when we do move to 16 teams in a few years' time, which is scheduled to happen. Tyler's in the chat. How's it going, Tyler? Says 3-1 Sydney retro hat-trick. Off the bench, Paolo Retre. He's starting on the bench today. Orange, yeah, exactly. Orange and blue doesn't clash. So it's bizarre. It's a bizarre decision with the kits. I don't know whether it's like a sponsoring thing. I know sometimes they do that. I think Wellington Phoenix do that sometimes, where they'll, even though they're playing at home, they'll wear their away kit. Yeah. Bobby says, I think Sydney will win 2-1 against Brisbane. So a couple 2-1 wins, a couple 2-1 predictions. That's right. That's right. And another major trophy for West United. Wouldn't that be big for the club? Would that be big for West United within their first, 4 years of existence to have a men's championship and a women's championship? That'd be for a team that doesn't even have a home stadium. Deserve a bit of credit for that, I think. It'd be a big achievement. Huge achievement. Of course, that grand final being played this coming Sunday afternoon. Combank Stadium. Hey, let's have a look at some of the games. In fact, before we have a look ahead, let's have a look behind at what has transpired this round before we kick off in this match. An exciting round of football. And it kicked off, of course, we did the live watch along Friday night for Wanderers, Wellington Phoenix 4-0. What a performance from Wanderers. Aiden Simmons scored a fantastic goal for his first A-League goal. Really big result and big statement from Wanderers. We, of course, went to this game. And, of course, the matchday vlog is out on the channel if you haven't watched it already. We went to Newcastle Jets, Central Coast Mariners. Big win for the Mariners, 3-1, securing Mariners' place in the top 4. And as well, Newcastle Jets, it's near impossible for them to make finals now. That was a must-win game for them. Samuel Severo was fantastic in that game. Check out the matchday vlog if you haven't. Link should be down in the description of this live stream. We had Jamie McLaren. There's a lot of storylines from this weekend. Jamie McLaren becoming the league's all-time top goal scorer with 143 goals after he bagged a hat-trick against Victorian rivals Western United 3-1 at Amy Park. Another match at Amy Park. Melbourne Victory finally won a game after a few weeks without a win. 2-1. Big win over Macarthur, which lifted them off the foot of the table. Now Macarthur sit bottom. Macarthur could potentially pick up a wooden spoon just 3 years into their existence. And then, of course, we had Perth Glory Adelaide United, which we already touched on at the start. Absolute insane game. Game of the season, one of the craziest finishes we've ever seen in A-League history. Let's just have a look at, again, just the timeline. I mean, look at that. Look at that, man. 90 plus 3, Zimmerino. 90 plus 6, Taggart. And I was like, that's it. They've won it. What a comeback. Dream comeback for Perth at the end. And then 99, the 9th minute of injury time, Nestory and Kunda. Perth just couldn't handle him. He had like a dozen shots off the bench. And he finally scored right at the end there. Goodness me. Look at that. 25 shots, 10 on target for Adelaide United. And then, of course, we've got this game happening right now, which is about to kick off between Brisbane Roar, Sydney FC. Jack's in the chat. So Sammy's dancing feet were amazing, ridiculous. Dude, he was unstoppable. Jets defense just weren't able to contain him. It was funny as well seeing him come up. That first goal was against Thomas Aquilina, of course, his former teammate. Got the better of him. Let's have a look at next week because it is absolutely spicy. It is a very juicy weekend of football. Adelaide United, Central Coast Mariners, Melbourne City Wanderers next Friday. Huge. The biggest Friday of the season, ladies and gentlemen. Top 4. We will be doing a live watch along next Friday night. A double watch along for these 2 games happening at the same time. We'll be, of course, focusing on the Adelaide Mariners game, being a Mariners fan. But, of course, also keeping an eye on the City Wanderers game. Huge pair of matches there to decide who finishes where between 2nd and 4th. Macarthur Wellington could be a big game for both of those sides, and as well some of the sides around them. Wellington really struggling at the moment. They need a win just to really tighten things up and secure their place. If Brisbane win tonight, and if Brisbane win next week against Victory, all of a sudden they're in the top 6 if Wellington fail to win next week. Sydney Jets is an interesting game, considering where those teams are on the ladder. But Sydney, depending on the result tonight, I think they'll be safe for finals. And then we finish off with of course, we've got Victory Roar, and then we finish off with Perth and Western. And of course, worth pointing out, these 4 games all being played on Saturday. So there's no Sunday games next week. Of course, the Sunday is being occupied by the Women's Grand Final. Exciting stuff. Great Friday night indeed. Great Friday night. Joel says Mariners fans were elite at the Newcastle game. Dude, it was so much fun. It was one of the best away day atmospheres that I've ever experienced as a Mariners fan. And I've been up to Newcastle dozens of times now. And this whole season, Mariners traveling fans have been great. I remember when we went to Sydney FC away, and that was real loud. So yeah, it's been awesome. Really, really good. Lucino says, just want to acknowledge as a Wanderers fan, it's effing awesome having communities like your channel out there to have fans to support and engage as a whole. Keep at it, man. Dude, thank you. I appreciate it. That's what we're about here. We're about creating a positive and positive community for Australian football fans, A-League fans. It's a growing league. It's a growing code in Australia, and we need more fan discussion around it. So that's what we're here for. Costa says, I'll be at the Adelaide game. Haven't missed a home game since 2020, 21. Beautiful. We might see you in the stands there on the live watch along there, Costa. That's right, Jack. I just saw you, Jack. I just missed your comment from a couple of minutes ago. Everybody from 6th to 9th is a Raw fan. And speaking of everyone between 6th to 9th, you're exactly right. Let's pull up the ladder now and see how it looks. And but depending on how this game goes, it could look very different. But here's a look at the ladder. Wellington Phoenix in 6th, just holding on. Look at that form from Wellington Phoenix. It's really disappointing because they've been really good all season. I mean, loss, draw, loss. It's really shaky to finish off the season. Whether they're worrying about Ufuk Tale leaving next season, some key players leaving after this season. This could be the end of an era for Wellington Phoenix. Perth Glory still within touching distance, but it's all eyes on Brisbane Roar, because if Brisbane Roar win tonight, they jump to 30 points. All of a sudden, they're in 7th, and a win could take them into. Well, actually, they could replace Sydney FC. I didn't even think of that. I was thinking all about Wellington. Like, of course, if Brisbane win tonight, then they're just 2 points behind Sydney FC, who have Jets next week. Man, there's heading into the final round. There's drama everywhere. There's drama in terms of who can sneak into the top six. There's drama in terms of who finishes second. It's crazy, and there's drama when it comes to who picks up the wooden spoon and finishes in these Australia Cup playoff positions. Because MacArthur, a win for them could lift them out, up to what ninth or eighth. So yeah, a lot to play for in the final round. It's definitely there's no dead rubbers really at all. Hey, no dead rubbers at all. HRE is in here. Again, HRE, I'm going to pronounce it as Harry. Is it a Harry? Hurry. Hope you're doing well, my man. Man, crazy. Just crazy. This has been one of, like, on field, this has been one of the best A-League seasons for memory. It's been very, very exciting. You probably wouldn't say that if you're a fan of maybe one of these bottom sides. But it's just summed up the season, and it's great that we're coming to the final rounds, and a team who's in 11th in Brisbane Roar with 2 games to go can still play finals. Yeah, it's been bizarre, hasn't it? It's been bizarre. That's right. Unfortunately, Victory can't make finals. They are out of contention. Victory can't make finals. MacArthur can't make finals. Everyone else is still mathematically into the chance, but look at West United. They need a win next week away to Perth, which is already going to be difficult, and their goal difference isn't helping them. They're minus 14 goal difference. They're going to need to score a whole bunch against Perth Glory if they're going to want to finish final. So that's the chance is so slim. The chance is so slim. And it's helping Brisbane too, the fact that they've got a decent goal difference. minus 6 is all right. Compared to, a better goal difference just by 1 against Wellington Phoenix. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're about to kick off Brisbane Roar, Sydney FC. If you want to show your support for the channel and the live stream, hit the like button right now. If you haven't done so already, I appreciate it greatly. We've got our next live watch-along, of course, coming up this Friday night. It doesn't stop. Huge doubleheader. Adelaide Mariners, City Wanderers. Excited for that one too, because it's the first time this season I'm doing a watch-along for my team. Usually all the watch-alongs have been for other teams. But of course, the game's in Adelaide. So I'll be live streaming from this very room right here. Broadcast, putting up the lineup graphics. Like I said, strong lineup for both teams, man. Strong lineups. Of course, no Robbie Cruz still for Brisbane Roar. He's out injured. It's been a real shame, Robbie Cruz returning to Brisbane Roar. There was a bit of excitement around that. He's back to where he started his A-League career. Could he help turn the season around for Brisbane? And he's barely been involved, hasn't he? I think he made one. He's made only like 1 appearance so far, right? Robbie Cruz. I could be wrong. Nick Green has done a really solid job. Nick Green yet to lose a home game. Yet to lose a home game. Can we see the lineups? Let's put it back up on screen for you. Let's have a look. One more look at the lineups for you. Pretty strong overall. Again, as I mentioned before, this Brisbane Roar lineup will probably look a little bit different. That formation is just about right, but Henry Hall should be over on the right. Jez Lofthouse playing off the left wing most likely, and then Jay Shea to be sort of playing a little bit more advanced just behind Skepovic. And that Sydney FC lineup is pretty accurate. Keep an eye on Max Burgess, being one of Sydney's best players this season. And his combinations with the likes of Lolly, Lafondra, Mac could be what undo Brisbane today. Sure, Brisbane will win. I think they're just even though they aren't home, I think they are slight underdogs heading into this game. But we'll see. I'm hoping for a good game. Strong lineup from Sydney FC, indeed. Yeah, it's basically as strong as it gets. Strong as it gets. And just a quick look at the bench before kickoff as well. Bari, Miliusnic, Smith, Armiento there for Brisbane. Good options. Sydney FC with a decent bench with some young players on there as well. Still no Diego Caballo. I should have mentioned that. Diego Caballo out, not involved in this game. Palaretro, Patrick Wood on the bench for Sydney FC. Here we go. Getting underway. Sydney FC, Brisbane Roar. We have kickoff. All right. The final game of the second last round of the season to decide who will finish. Well, not to decide it. Of course, there's one more week to go, but this is all about Brisbane Roar. Tonight is Brisbane Roar's game if they mean business. If they are the real deal, which they haven't been for much of this season, to be fair, then they need to show up and win this game. Brisbane 2 wins in their last 5. Sydney just 1 win in their last 5. Of course, that coming off that big win, of course. Should mention that. Sydney FC, of course, picking up that big win, the 4-1 win at home to Perth Glory last week. Did Noah Smith go to Brisbane? He did indeed, Noah Smith. Not quite getting much game time at Melbourne Victory, so made the trip up to Queensland. Costa, multitasking, love it. Sky Blues keeper Andrew Redmayne back at one of his former employers, Brisbane Roar. Am I right in saying that Andrew Redmayne won a championship with Brisbane Roar? Was he there back then, a decade ago? Could be wrong. He might have been at the Mariners then. What am I saying? He might have been at the Mariners. Spent time at Brisbane, Central Coast, Melbourne Heart. Did Andrew Redmayne? Henry Hall, big game for him. I really like Henry Hall. I think he's a fantastic player. Here's a chance. Jazz Lofthouse in some space. O'Shea, great chance. That's a really great tackle. Who was that? Was that Wilkinson with the challenge at the end there? Little half opening for Brisbane in the opening stages. That's a really poor header from Rodwell, and Lofthouse will strike. Blocked by Rodwell. A little bit messy. A little bit messy here at the back for Sydney. Is that a handball? There's appeals for a hand. There's adamant appeals for a handball from the Brisbane players. It looked like it struck a hand, unless it was just a chest. Sydney FC going to counter the other way. This is a good start to the game. It's Max Burgess. Can't break through. And Brisbane Roar players are going off here. Is there a handball? Oh, dude, did that hit his arm? Did that hit his arm? Pen shout? It's hard to tell from that angle. It sort of looked like it just hit his chest. But his arm was definitely out. His arm was above his head. Dr. Dingo's in here. How's it going, mate? Costa says the Den looks like a decent attendance. Den on that left-hand side of the broadcast. They did look pretty strong. Another look at this handball shout. Oh, dude. It looks like it bounces off his body, then up onto the arm, in which case, of course, it's not a handball. So, they're checking it. They are checking it. Referee's just got his hand up, just saying, all right, we're having a little look. VAR check is underway for this penalty. This would be an early one. Play on, no pen. VAR didn't spend much time looking at it, but yeah, it looked to me like it bounced up off the chest and then onto the arm. Definitely struck his arm, and his arm was definitely out away from the body, but because it bounced off his body, no handball. It would have been a great start for Brisbane, and of course, you do not want the Brisbane are the last team you want to give a penalty away to, because you got Jay O'Shea, who does not miss from the penalty spot. He does not miss. Anyway, exciting start to this game. Bright start for the Roar. Aldred plays a long ball looking for Lofthouse. Grant will cut that out. Nice ball forward. Sydney FC on the attack. Joe Lolly off the right. Cutting in. He loves doing this, and that's a strike. I'll go through for a goal kick. Exciting start to this game. Both teams looking to exploit the wide positions early. Joe Lolly. Corny Perkins surely had to take him to the wing there. If there's anything we know from Joe Lolly is that he's gonna cut onto his left foot. He's going to cut onto his left foot. And if he does, more often than not, he'll go for a goal, regardless of the angle. Looks like a good attendance. It does indeed. I should mention, though, from what it looks like that it's just that far grandstand that's open. So the near one isn't open at all. So whether that impacts things. Anyway, here's Sydney FC in again. Just a little ricochet, and that'll be a corner for the Sky Blues. First corner of the game for Sydney FC. Alex Price, Diamante retirement just announced, actually? Really? In the middle of an A-League game? Let's check the tweets. Oh, you're right. You're right. West United official. Our inaugural captain and Italian superstar will call time on his decorated career at the end of the season. We wish Dia the best in retirement. Thank you for his contributions. Wow. Okay. There you go. Thanks, Alex, for letting us know. Alessandro Diamante, 3 minutes ago, announcing his retirement. There you go. G'day, mate. How's it going? Good to see you here in the chat. There you go. Literally 3 minutes ago, Diamante retiring. There we go. He's had a decent few seasons at West United. Hasn't been too involved the last couple seasons, whether it's been injury or, he's been on the bench for most of this season. The second time Brisbane looked to go long to Jez Lofthouse. Doesn't quite work out. Ryan Grant has his work cut out for him today with Jez Lofthouse. Seven minutes into this game on my broadcast. Brisbane 0, Sydney 0. Good strike from Jez Lofthouse. Really out of nothing. He was a decent distance away from goal. Decided to have a pop. Forced a good save out of Redmayne. Corner. Gone for that near post. Not a bad effort. Kept it low. Redmayne had to get down to his right. Decent turnout from the Sydney FC fans. You can see them there in that away bay in the corner. Jay O'Shea to deliver Brisbane Roar's first set piece of the match. 8 minutes tick past. Tom Alder's up. Scott Neville's up. Skepovic has some height. Courtney Perkins in there as well. O'Shea delivers. Good delivery too. Aldred almost got it. Truman heads back in. Still in there for Brisbane. Max Burgess there to clean it up. Good to see Brisbane back at Suncorp, and great to hear that they'll be back at Suncorp for next season. I've never been there, but it looks like a fantastic stadium. But I've never been there. Decent opening to the game from Brisbane. They've had some possession in the attacking third. Well done. Gomorka winning that one. Chance for Hingett to deliver here. Gets the cross in. Still on. O'Shea's header. Floats up for Redmayne to claim. And they're just halting play because that Jack Rodwell. Well, we don't need more injury concerns for Jack Rodwell. He's been out for much of the season, hasn't he? Missed far too much of the campaign. Jack Rodwell just maybe landing awkwardly there or copping the knock. Frenzy Rabbits chiming in from Suncorp. Can't listen, but thanks for the stream. Tuning in live. There you go. How's the vibe there, Frenzied Rabbit? How's the vibe? It looks pretty decent. Brisbane's first game at Suncorp since early on in the season. Brisbane played their first opening couple games there. Jack Rodwell, maybe we're just with a knock to the head here. We hope he's all right. But there you go. We also have Spencer, who regularly tunes into these live streams, Brisbane Roar fan. He's at the game as well. Didn't see if the mishand ball was inside or outside the box. Definitely inside, but on replay, looked like it bounced off his body. So no penalty. No penalty. Definitely struck his hand, though, for me. Definitely struck his hand. So Jack Rodwell still down here and being tended to by the Sydney FC physios and doctors. Sydney FC have James Donachie on the bench who could replace him. Of course, former Brisbane Roar defender, James Donachie. It's 10 minutes into the game. It's been a bright start for the home side. Jack Rodwell's up to his feet. And a little shot of the den here that looks pretty strong. Good numbers in the den, which is great to see. Numbers have been dwindling a little bit when they've been playing out at Redcliffe. There you go. Costa with the multitasking. Watching all the things. Thanks for tuning in, Costa. I appreciate it, mate. Costa, a regular viewer of the Coastwatch football live streams. So this treatment of Jack Rodwell has now been going on for about 3 minutes now, and still he's on the field. Or is he off it now? And is there just a little cut to the head? Where he's all right. But this is taking some time. Frenzied Rabbit, who is at the same, says Raw only using half the stadium to save costs, hoping this sort of arrangement is sustainable into the future as it feels great under this setup. Plenty of folks here tonight. Well, look, if it feels good for the stadium, then yeah. Looks awesome. It looks awesome from a broadcast point of view, man. So yeah, dude. Costa says Friday I'll tune in for a bit at halftime due to me being at the game. Dude, Costa, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate the dedication. And look, I'm sure it's going to be an epic atmosphere. Friday night games at Coopers are always crazy. So Jack Rodwell currently being bandaged up. Players been stopped for about 4 minutes here. And I feel like if it goes on for this long, you really either got to sub him off or let them treat him off the field. I know Sydney would be down a man, but James Donachie just warming up in case the substitution is needed. But it looks like Jack Rodwell will continue if they've got him stitched up like that, bandaged up. Yeah, I'm actually curious to see what this crowd is like, hey? Curious to see what the crowd is like. Because it looks strong, but of course everyone's on that far side. So, I mean, it could be pushing. There's no reason why it couldn't be pushing 10K. 10K. We are back underway. John asks, why are they wrapping his head? It didn't look like he was bleeding. Yeah, it wasn't clear, was it? There wasn't much blood coming from his head at all, if any. But there might have been like a small cut maybe above his eye, potentially. That looked like where they were treating, just like above his eyebrow. But yeah. Jez Lofthouse involved early in this game on that left wing. Brisbane clearly looking to move down that left-hand side to perhaps exploit the space vacated by Ryan Grant when he loves to go on his attacking raids up the field. Ryan Grant able to bring this ball forward here. Max Burgess has found himself out in the right wing. He's got a good left foot too, and he cuts in as well. Nice move, Burgess. And that's a good block. Still on for Sydney. Chance for the Sky Blues to mount an attack here. 15 minutes into this game. Sky Blues just with a one shot so far from Joe Lolly, who is on the ball now. His cross is cut out by Gomulka. And the clearance will come to Henry Hoare, who sends it up to Skepovic. Ball back at the feet of the Sky Blues. Promising start to this game. Both teams look up for it. Hello from Germany. Thanks for tuning in all the way from Germany. Hope it's going well over there. What would the time be over there in Germany? Perhaps early morning, hey? Morning in Germany. Chance for Sydney FC. Joel King on the overlap here, cutting it back. Anthony Caceres. Trying to set up a decent little play there, but it was cut out, and Brisbane regained possession here with a throw. Alex Wilkinson, Sydney FC captain, centre back, has won championships with the club. Could this be his final season? We just heard from Alex in the chat, and we checked online. Alessandro Diamanti about 10 minutes ago announced his retirement. In case you missed it, Italian midfielder at Western United, Alessandro Diamanti, has called time on his career. Hello from India. Looks like we've got viewers tuning in from all over the world. Great to see. All right, can Brisbane shift their way up the field here? J.S. Shea. Courtney Perkins pushing up from left back. Lofthouse with yet another touch here. Still Lofthouse trying to play it in. Can't find O'Shea. Sydney can come forward here. What's going on in Australia? Not much. Just watching some football. Frenzy says, starting Jazz up front with Skepovic will be interesting, but the rain seems to have leveled the speed out amongst the players. Yeah, good to see Jazz Lofthouse getting in some promising advanced positions early on here. We can see Henry Hall playing off that right wing as well. Costa asks, what are your thoughts on Paramount? I don't like it because you can't pause it or back if you missed a goal. It's also delayed by 10 seconds. I wish it was back on KO. Those things, just should be, you'd imagine would be simple fixes because just about every streaming platform has a pause, has a rewind. It's bizarre that they don't. Look, I don't mind it. Overall, it's been good. There hasn't been many technical difficulties as far as I've experienced this season, but just those little features, the quality of life things would go a long way to make for a better reviewing experience. Once they get that, I think, it'll be much better for fans. The most promising player to watch in this match, probably Jez Lofthouse, and he started well as well off the left wing for Brisbane Roar, but Jez Lofthouse has had a number of touches already. 18 minutes into this game, and the Roar have another corner. So, an early goal here for Brisbane would be big and would put their finals hopes right back on the table. Henry Hoare, no, in fact, O'Shea to deliver, and the header will go wide from Tom Aldred. Alex in the chat. Alex in Adelaide says, pretty good skill on show under wet conditions. Yeah, looks pretty good so far. Looking pretty good. It's the game's been played on sort of like the far touchline for most of it already. Jez Lofthouse for Brisbane and Joe Lolly for Sydney getting some time on the ball. Sydney FC just looking a little bit more settled now in defence after that semi-frantic start to the game. Thoughts on the Tottenham 6-1 loss? Massive scoreline. Absolutely massive for Newcastle and a dreadful day for Tottenham fans, that's for sure. Big result in the Premier League overnight. 20 minutes have ticked past in this game. Brisbane 0, Sydney 0. Good turnout. You can see a number of sky blue shirts dotted around the stands as well, of course, as well in that away day, of course. Sydney always generally pretty strong with their away numbers. Big win here for Sydney. Will secure their place in 5th. They'll have an away trip, which could be to Sydney FC's away elimination final. Will, of course, be against either Adelaide, Mariners, or potentially a Sydney derby elimination final against Wanderers, which would be crazy. Imagine that. Hitchy99 in the chat says, "Hey, Lockie, congrats on the derby win over the Jets. Mariners were all class in the attacking third. It's a shame that Jets are so poorly run at the moment. No owner, one finals appearance in 14 years. Yeah, it's struggle street at the moment for Newcastle, isn't it? And it just seems to be the same story. I mean, the last 2 seasons now have been basically identical, where the Jets have been decent throughout the season, sort of mid-table, and they're slipping away towards the end as they did last year. So, yeah, I'm curious to see what Newcastle do heading into next season. Here's Jez Lofthouse inside the box for Brisbane, taking on Ryan Grant, cutting it back for O'Shea, who strikes. Headed away by Wilkinson. So Sydney deal with that little attack. But 20 minutes into this game, Brisbane looked like the stronger of the two sides. Sky Blues unable to create any real meaningful attack forward. Pumpkins in the chat. How's it going? Says, good evening, Lockie. How are you feeling about the Mariners' chances of beating Adelaide next week? I think we're in for a really exciting game because, of course, we know Adelaide are good at home. Adelaide are strong. Mariners, in my opinion, are currently in the best form we've been in all season. Playing well. Sammy Silvera with 2 super goals last week against Newcastle. We have to expect goals. I mean, Adelaide have a leaky defense. Out of all those top 6 sides, Adelaide have one of the worst defenses. And Mariners just looking unstoppable in attack. So, look, I like Mariners' chances, but realistically, it'll probably be a draw. But, of course, it's a huge chance for Mariners. A win for the Mariners, and they'll finish in second, which would be huge for the club. So, I like our chances, but I'm definitely not confirming a Mariners win. I think it'll be tight because Adelaide are a quality side as well. Joshe. Edge of the box, Skepovic. Back for Truman, who delivers. Cross was not the best. Sydney should be able to deal with this. And they do. Pumpkin Rider says, Josh Nisbet, 100th minute winner against Adelaide. Imagine that. Adelaide fans with absolute roller coasters. Adelaide United love a crazy finish to a game, don't they? And it's always crazy scenes at Cooper Stadium, isn't it? There have been plenty of epic games this season at that stadium so far. But we'd love to see Nisbet get on the score sheet again. Isn't that interesting? We've got a pumpkin music and a pumpkin rider. Are you the same person, pumpkin music and pumpkin rider? If not, that's just an amazing coincidence. Costa says Adelaide last season, we had so many late goals. I mean, especially with Nestor Irankunda in good form. It's always terrifying towards, the end of games. Irankunda comes off the bench and he just shoots. He shoots at will from anywhere on the pitch. 25 minutes into this clash between Brisbane Roar and Sydney FC, still scoreless. Defensive structure is the name of the game so far. Brisbane Roar's Jez Lofthouse, Jay Shea have been heavily involved so far. Roar content just to keep possession. Now go for a long ball. Decent ball. They had two players going for that, but Redmayne read it well. Came out for it. Of course, if Sydney lose this game, they could still miss out on finals. Brisbane Roar could catch them. Brisbane Roar play Melbourne Victory away next week, which is winnable. But Victory will be going into that game hoping to win. There you go. Costa coming in with a stat for the Adelaide Mariners game. Says, you guys haven't beaten Adelaide at Cooper since 2016, which is one of our worst seasons. 8 games since that game. Yeah, Mariners generally struggle on the road on our interstate trips. Mariners getting the first win in Victoria in a long time against West United a few weeks ago. And yeah, always a tricky time in South Australia for Central Coast. Sydney FC getting some decent field position here. Max Burgess. That's the sort of play you want on the ball, looking to create something. What can Sydney conjure here? They've got numbers forward. They need a little bit more movement. You got 3 players on that right wing, and they're just sort of standing still. Ryan Grant to cut it back. Smartly cut back for Burgess. Aldred steps in, and it'll be a foul on Courtney Perkins. Brisbane, hold on. That's right. Anything is possible. Anything is possible indeed. Pumpkin Music says, yes, Mariners were not particularly scary in last year's final series at Hindmarsh. No, Mariners struggled. In that game. I remember it very clearly. Somewhere up on the channel from about a year ago, I put up my live reaction. I was filming myself while watching the match. We didn't do a live watch along, but there's like a little YouTube short of my reaction to it, and yeah, it was quite a roller coaster. But yeah, it was very disappointing for Mariners that day. That's for sure. Pumpkin Music says, as an Adelaide fan, I find Western Sydney more intimidating. The way they're playing at the moment, I wouldn't want to face Wanderers either. I mean, all those top 4 sides are strong, man. I wouldn't want to face City. Yeah, it's going to be tricky. It's going to be a really exciting finals series. That top 4 is so nicely balanced. Probably Melbourne City, obviously, the stronger of the 4, but especially between Adelaide, Mariners, and Wanderers, it's all pretty even, as we can see on the table. Shots on target stat shown on the broadcast. 2 so far for Brisbane, none as of yet for Sydney FC. Pumpkin Music says Western Sydney have a great defense. They do indeed. And they are guaranteed 1 goal against us, courtesy of Yangi. Cassini Yangi only scores in the big games. 2 Sydney derby goals this season, didn't he? Have. Costa says out of 12 away games, because Mariners have only gotten 17 points, 5 wins, 2 draws, 5 losses, while Adelaide at home have 12 games, have gotten 24 points, 7 wins, 3 draws, 2 losses. Still a sort of decent record for Mariners. Decent. 5 wins away is all right. 5 wins away. We'll take it. Sky Blues looking to attack down the right. Burgess. Nice little pass over the top. Great chance here. Sydney Burgess blazes over the top. Best chance of the game so far for the Sky Blues. Half an hour in. Falls to Max Burgess. Really should have hit the target there. That was a poorly taken chance. They moved the ball well and found that little gap. Jordan Courtney Perkins had his hands full there because the Sky Blues were in. No one was tracking the run of Max Burgess, and I think that's why Jordan Courtney Perkins was frustrated there. You could see him talking to his teammates. No one tracked the run of Burgess from midfield. O'Shea down the right-hand side. Good ball. This is Skepovic. Crossing. Delivery goes out of play. Ball cross. Still no goals to report as of yet. Sydney FC growing into this game, though. Brisbane Roar. At home will fancy themselves if it stays 0-0 at halftime. Marcus here says if Sydney get a draw, they will play finals guaranteed. Indeed, you're right. Yes. That's all it'll take. That's all it'll take for Sydney FC. Currently sitting 32 points. Free kick goes the way of Brisbane here. So Sydney chasing this draw. But Brisbane, that's why I love these final rounds. You know, the last couple of rounds of the season. You know, we're going to see Brisbane go for it. You know, if it stays 0-0 into the second half, Brisbane will have to go for it. They have to win. Otherwise, their season's over as well. We already have two teams out of finals contention in Macarthur FC and Melbourne Victory. Brisbane could join them tonight if they fail to win. And overall, it has been a disappointing campaign for the Roar, who saw their head coach Warren Moon sacked around the middle of the season. Nick Green has come in and has done a decent job just steadying the ship, especially at home. Of course, Brisbane Roar yet to lose at home under Nick Green. But of course, those home wins were played at Redcliffe. Tunley says, MacArthur played really well in the beginning of the season. What happened to them? Of course, MacArthur. Yeah, absolutely they did. They were, of course, coming off the win in the Australia Cup. We're looking strong. Started pretty well overall in the opening couple of months of the season. They've just really fallen away, and it's a similar thing that we saw last year from them. Look, I think the manager situation hasn't helped MacArthur. Look, with Dwight York, they were able to win the Australia Cup, make a good start to the season, but for whatever reason, numerous reasons potentially, things didn't work out with Dwight York. He left the club, and Milan Stojanski hasn't really been able to implement a successful playing style at the Bulls. So yeah, they've really struggled, haven't they? Could potentially pick up their first ever wooden spoon. Delivery is a dangerous one. Sydney FC with a chance here. Robert Mack cutting into his right foot. Great pass, and Robert Mack has just scored. Sydney FC opened the scoring. It's 1-0. And just like that, it looked far too easy. Sydney FC just about to secure their finals place tonight. Robert Mack has opened the scoring. Easy goal for the Sky Blues. That was far too easy. Robert Mack, the Slovak, with the goal. Let's have a look at this replay. The cross came in, was tantalizing cross. Joel King was able to recover. Robert Mack, and there was just look at the just a bit too much space. And Jack Hingett, it just fallen asleep at the wheel, ball watching. Jack Hingett has to track there. Joe Lolly with a beautiful return pass. Scott Neville unable to close him down quick enough. But Jack Hingett has vacated that space between him and his central defender, Scott Neville. Robert Mack, easy. Easy, easy, easy. Marcus says Mack is Sydney's best player this season. He's definitely up there. He's definitely up there. He's been a decent acquisition for them, Robert Mack. Sydney FC fan TV loves it. Says, let's go. And that could potentially mean, as Costa says here, Sydney Derby in the finals could potentially be on. We'll have to see how next week's matches go, but we could potentially see a Wanderers Sydney FC elimination final at CommBank Stadium in a couple of weeks' time. But this is not good for Brisbane Roar, who now concede. Frenzied Rabbit, who's currently at Suncorp Stadium, says, we've been giving Sydney FC way too much space on the wings tonight. Sydney FC fan says, Western City Wanderers better get ready for finals. Through Neville's legs. Fortnite here says, didn't even know you were streaming until I opened my YouTube. What a treat. Hey, Lockie, man. Dude, no worries, man. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry you didn't get to see it early, but good to see you here now. Costa has asked a question regarding the grand final. We're going to come back to that because Brisbane are coming forward here through the Jazz Lofthouse on the left wing. Sydney FC getting numbers back and really flooding that corner of the field. We're going to talk about this question from Costa in just a moment. Nice pass inside here. It's well cut out. Sydney FC should be able to deal with this. Playing into trouble, and O'Shea's won it back. Instantly lose possession, though. So Costa asks, what ground is the A-League Grand Final going to be at? Is it Allianz? The A-League Men Grand Final, I don't think the actual venue has been confirmed. I think we've heard that it could be CommBank Stadium. We know that the Women's Grand Final this weekend is, of course, being played at CommBank Stadium. It could be Allianz. That was my initial thought, but I think there's some talk that it also could be CommBank. But I don't, as far as I'm aware, it hasn't been confirmed yet. Pumpkin Music says, I wish for there to be an F3 Derby Grand Final one day. Of course, we have had one of those. That was way back in 2008. I was there on that day. Little 12-year-old me at the old Allianz Stadium. I don't think it was even called that back then. Sydney Football Stadium. So we did have an F3 Derby a long time ago, and that was a win for Jets on that day, 1-0, where Denny Vukovic famously made contact with the referee and was suspended for a number of weeks. Frenzied Rabbit is coming in with a spoiler, saying, what a save. For those that don't know, Frenzied Rabbit is watching live at the stadium and has just said, what a save. And I think we're about to see that save because we've got Sydney FC on the attack here. Robert Mack, Joe Lolly, and it is a great save. It is a great save. And that's the danger of having people tune in live from the stadium. Of course, Frenzied Rabbit seeing it live in real time. Jordan Holmes pulling out a good save to deny Joe Lolly, and it's another corner here for Sydney FC. Costa says Allianz is so much better than CommBank, in my opinion. They're both fantastic. I've been to both a few times. Well, I've only been to the new Allianz once for the Mariners game, but yeah. What was Marvel Stadium's original name? It wasn't Etihad Stadium before, but it was Marvel Stadium. I could be wrong. Corner for Sydney is headed clear. Pumpkin Music says, if you're only going to win one grand final in your history against your rivals is a good way to do it. Yeah, that was probably the highlight of Newcastle Jets' career so far in the A-League, wasn't it? They've really struggled since. Only one grand final since, and they lost that one at home to Melbourne Victory back in 2018, of course. So Sydney FC hold a 1-0 scoreline. Brisbane appear to have more possession so far. I don't know what the stats look like. It feels like Brisbane have had a lot of time on the ball, especially around their back line. At halftime, we'll be doing a little bit of a Q&A session, talking all things A-Leagues and Australian football. So if you've got any questions or discussion points, make sure you get them ready in about 5 or so minutes. This half has flown by. Is it just me or is this half flown by? I feel like it's gone by really quickly. 40 minutes have ticked by for me on my Paramount Plus broadcast. And while it was a bright start for Brisbane Roar, Sydney FC have controlled really the last 20 minutes or so of the game, really. Perth v Adelaide, Perth v Adelaide game, best A-League ever. Yes, for me. I don't know if it was I don't know if it was the best A-League game ever, but it was the best finish. It was the best finale to a game. I don't think I'd call it the best A-League game ever. That probably, Sydney Mariners from the 07-08 season's definitely up there. But the best finish in ATLEC history, in my opinion, to have three goals in injury time is nuts. That's right, Frenzied Rabbit, because you're at the stadium. And Sydney FC almost in again. Lafondra almost in behind, but Jordan Holmes claims. Frenzied Rabbit, for those that don't know, is at the stadium right now. He's inside the Suncorp Stadium, so that's right. Could at any time troll us if he would like. So we'll have to make sure to keep that in mind if Frenzied Rabbit ever wants to do that. Micah says, every time I go to a game, I notice the first 10 minutes of each half goes slow, and then after that, time goes so quickly. Yeah, I know what you mean, man. Brisbane looking to push Sydney FC back, create an opening. Decent little movement. That's a good run. There's a great chance. Great save. It was Gomulka with a shot. It's still on. O'Shea. Oh, great chance. Brisbane's best chance of the game fell to Taris Gomulka, whose strike went directly into the chest of Andrew Redmayne. Should have done better there, Gomulka. Brisbane still in possession and finishing the half brightly here. Would love to equalise to set them up to push forward in the second. Henry Hoare in possession. Bratton clears. So a great chance for Brisbane there. Taris Gomulka. Really nice run. Great pass. Was it Truan with a pass? Oh, man, what a chance. He just had to go either side and he probably would have scored there, Gomulka, but he went straight at Redmayne. Brilliant opportunity. Brilliant chance. Robert Mack is down injured for Sydney FC. Receiving some work on the back of his hamstring. Not a player that Sydney FC want to lose. And the physio has just signalled for a substitution here. So some concern for the Sky Blues. Robert Mack, the goal scorer, is leaving the field early on in this match, which could potentially see Paolo Retre come to the field or potentially a younger option in Adrian Segicic. But Robert Mack is straight off the field after the physio was addressing an issue with a hamstring, and it is Adrian Segicic to come into the field. So good to see Segicic come on and get some decent minutes here in this game on the left wing. Segicic. Final moments of this half. We've had a few stoppages. Injuries to Sydney FC players, Rodwell and Mack. So we could see 4 or 5 minutes here. Anyway, here's Sydney with another attack. Joe Lolly, he'll cut in again. Courtney Perkins, you need to learn, son. Burgess with a strike is going to go wide again. Max Burgess with his second shot of the game, and again it goes wide. But Jordan Courtney Perkins not quite dealing with Joe Lolly at the moment. Going to call it 4 minutes of injury time. Calling it now. 4 minutes. Here we go. We're going to find out in 10 seconds. Entertaining half of football. Sydney just with a little bit more class in the final third. 5 minutes. There we go. 5 minutes of injury time. 2 injuries contributing to that as well as the goal. If you guys are enjoying the stream so far, make sure you hit the like button. We're going to be getting to some Q&A in just a moment at halftime. So if you've got any questions or discussion points, we'll have a look at the final games coming up next round, do a little mini preview of my prediction video coming out later this week as well. The round recap video coming out tomorrow as well. Busy times here at the end of the A-League season, man. So Brisbane will have a free kick here late on. Joel King just a little bit too aggressive on Henry Hall there. Out wide, but a chance for Roar to pull one back and equalise. O'Shea to deliver. One-man wall. Decent delivery. Dude, it's passed through everyone. It's still on. And Shrewin can't find the strike on goal. So really, I mean, it's been a pretty even game, but the only thing that's separating the sides is just a little bit more class at the top. Robert Mack with the intelligence to find that space in the box and finish for Sydney, grabbing that one goal. Brisbane Roar, while they have gotten to good spaces and create good chances, Tarashka Walker probably with the best chance for Roar a moment ago. They haven't had the quality to finish off. Their Serbian striker, Stefan Skepovic, has been pedestrian in this opening stage. Just a few moments until a halftime break. Brisbane 0. Sydney FC 1. We'll pull up the ladder at halftime as well. Have a look at how it stands now at the ladder. And as we know how it stands, Brisbane Roar will be out of finals contention if it stays as is, which is going to set up for a really exciting second half, man. That's why we love these games. Brisbane Roar cannot sit back. They have to go for it. And now they don't just need one goal to equalise, they need two to win this game. Little space here for Henry Hoare on the left wing. Hoare and Lofthouse just swapping wings for the final stage of this half. I see your question in the chat, John. We'll definitely pull that one up on half time in just in a moment's time. Jez Lofthouse. Nice little move from Lofthouse. Good footwork, but the ball gets cleared. 2 minutes to go in injury time. Jay O'Shea looking to create. Lofthouse. Oh, they've left the ball. Scott Neville thought Jack Hingett was taking it. None of them took it in the end. Now Sydney FC back in possession. Just need to hold on Sydney here, take the lead into halftime. Nothing too crazy. Sky Blues will just keep possession here until halftime. So just a moment till halftime, and here's how the ladder stands. Sydney FC will pretty much secure their place in fifth spot, unless Wellington get a big win next week away to Macarthur. But Sydney FC should be finishing fifth, and the way it stands, dude, we'll be seeing a Sydney derby. Wanderers hosting Sydney next week. Of course, Wanderers playing Melbourne City next week. A loss here for Brisbane, and they'll stay in 11th place and could still potentially finish bottom. So it's really up to those bottom three sides deciding who picks up the wooden spoon. Sydney have earned a free kick later on in this first half here. Hingett bringing down Segicic, and look, it'd be a blow for it would be a big blow for Brisbane if Sydney were to snatch a second goal here. but they're going to play the ball back, playing it safe. Steve Corica's side don't need a rush, don't need a freak out. $50 have ticked by, which means it's halftime between Brisbane Roar and Sydney FC. Brisbane 0, Sydney 1. Entertaining half of football. Both teams with good chances, but just Sydney, just with that little bit more class at the top end of the field. Robert Mack with the goal. Here's how it looks on the ladder. Get your questions and topics in the chat right now. I'm going to go get a drink, so I'll be back in a minute or two. Here's how the ladder stands at the moment. We'll be back in a second. Here we go. Here we go. Half time between Brisbane Roar and Sydney FC. Robert Mack with the goal that separates the sides. Let's jump into the chat. John P7 asking, would it be fair to say that Brisbane haven't really replaced Austin? Yeah, it would be fair. I mean, technically they have. I mean, they brought in Stefan Skepovic in the mid-season transfer window, but he hasn't really lived up to expectation. Not that there was much expectation. No one really knew of him. He's only scored one goal so far. So, yeah, he hasn't really shown up, has he? And look, it is curious to think, what would have happened if Charlie Austin never left, if he had stuck around for this season. Would have been interesting. Of course, we've got our Brisbane Roar career mode where we find out, spoiler alert, we signed Charlie Austin in our Brisbane Roar career mode on FIFA. You can watch it right now on the channel. Video link is down in the description. What else we got here? Julian says I sent a massive message to my goater, Lino Diamanti. What a career he's had. Of course, if you missed it, just announced about 45 minutes ago. Alessandro Diamanti retiring from football at the end of the season. Costa says, at the end of the season, the ladder may not show it, but Adelaide United and Melbourne City have been the two best teams in the comp this season. I think you could, that's probably fair to say. They've both been up there. Mariners and Wanderers both giving them a run for their money, for sure. Just keeping them competitive. Is this the least amount of money spent in the season promoting the league? Shocking, in my opinion. I mean, it's a hard thing to say, and sometimes I get asked that about that in terms of promotion, because like it's tricky because like for someone like me and a lot of you guys who follow the A League actively, I don't know, like I don't really like I see it a lot because I follow it, right? Because it's in my social media algorithms. It's really what I consume. So I can't comment from like, I guess, just like a regular sort of Australian sport fan that sort of sees everything, because I'm basically television on Australian football and A-Leagues. So it's tricky to say, but I mean, just thinking off the top of my head in terms of just like generally, I guess we don't see too much. So potentially they need to do some more effort there when it comes to promotion. John P7, Frenzy Rabbit responding to John P7 says, yes, we don't have a proper replacement for him, and the loss of Dan Zaki hurts too. That was a big one for Brisbane too, losing Dan Zaki, especially like he was only back for a few months. Do you get recognised often at games or in public? Sometimes. Julian says the club needs to build a statue for Diamanti and Tane. If he gets one, then I reckon Jamie McLaren gets one at Casey Fields. Mm. Monday Night Football. Dude, I don't mind Monday Night Football. It's kind of nice. Especially, usually after a Sunday, it's like, oh, weekend's over. Back to the grind. Football's over. But having a Monday night match, I don't mind it, man. I'm not against it. Potentially, once we get more teams in the competition. Hey, let's have a little look at the games coming up next round. Of course, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but next Friday we're doing a live watch along for Adelaide Mariners and then City Wanderers. What a Friday night it's going to be, dude! And what a coincidence! Again, they scheduled this at the start of the season, right? They didn't know that this was going to happen, but it's the top four sides. Adelaide Mariners win for Adelaide or a draw, and they secure the top two. Unless Wanderers get a big win against City, which is unlikely. I don't think Wanderers will defeat City at home. But a win for the Mariners and they'll finish second. So, look, there's so much to play for in these games. Macarthur, Wellington, Sydney Jets, simultaneous kickoff on Saturday as well. And then we've got Victory, Brisbane Roar, potentially to decide who picks up the wooden spoon. And then Perth Glory hosting Western in the final fixture of the weekend. Exciting round of football. All right, what else we got here? Frenzy Rabbit says Raw announced in the last day that they'll make a fan advisory panel of sorts to increase dialogue with fans. I did see this. It was a really good announcement. Rabbit says easy to see why they wanted to wait until after Suncorp announcement. Yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see, especially with what's happened this season with the whole grand final debacle and how that played out. Dialogue between the people in charge and the fans is what we need. So, yeah, it's great news from Brisbane. Goodwin needs a statue for that goal versus France. Dude, I mean, he's turning into an Adelaide United legend. We'll see how he goes, but maybe he should get a statue outside Cooper Stadium. Troy in the chat here says, hey, Lockie, good to see you. Good to see you too, Troy. Hope you're doing well, man. Says, just bought tickets to West Ham versus Perth Glory. Can't wait. Yeah, man. Good to see some Premier League sides coming over here. Of course, West Ham taking glory, and then Spurs coming over here as well to Western Australia. Marcus says, best up Parisha, going through the UEFA coaching badges to become Brisbane Roar coach next season. Dude, I would love that. That'd be real cool. Or even Melbourne Victory. Imagine that. If they get rid of Popovich. That would be cool. Obviously, we know that Best up Parisha, he said it, he loves Australia. He spent a lot of time here. Has the second highest goal tally in the A-League. So, yeah, we'd love to see him back. Sanders in the chat says, come on, Sydney. Sky Blues, of course, already with a 1-goal lead at halftime. Here's my question to you guys. Which game are you most looking forward to next week out of these 6? Which clutch is catching your eye? For me, look, even if I wasn't a Mariners fan, I'd be saying Mariners Adelaide. Right? I feel like for most people, it's got to be Mariners Adelaide. You could say City Wanderers as well, but, City at home should win that game. But Adelaide Mariners, man, has to be the game of the round. Am I right? Xander says Mac Wellington. They're just showing the stats on the broadcast here for this Brisbane-Sydney game, and it's Brisbane Roar actually have more shots, 9-6. There you go. There's more to play for in the Mariners game. This is Pumpkin Rider. Costa agrees. Says Adelaide for sure. It's big. Big for both sides. Zen says Macarthur Wellington is all to play for. The final spot, right? I don't know where Macarthur are. Macarthur are definitely out of finals contention. They're sitting at the bottom of the ladder at the moment. But for Wellington Phoenix, I mean, they'll need to win. I mean, it's unlikely that. I mean, we'll pull up the ladder now. We'll pull up the ladder as well and have a look at how the ladder stands. It's really Brisbane Roar who are probably the side who are most threatening. So it depends how tonight's result goes. If Brisbane fail to win, then it's a little bit more easy on Wellington. But let's have a look at the ladder and how it stands now. As you can see here, There we go. Wellington Phoenix. Yeah, Wellington Phoenix do need to win. I mean, Perth Glory still have a chance to catch them. Like if Wellington were to lose by a goal or two against MacArthur, and then Glory get a win against Western, I actually didn't even think about that. Like Glory with their goal difference still have a chance. And yes, Newcastle and Western have a chance, but I mean they both have tough away games and their goal difference isn't looking good. So it's really the chance for Jets or Western to finish finals is very minimal. Glory with the opportunity. MacArthur and Victory as it stands, the two teams out of finals contention. And as it stands as well, Brisbane will be out of finals contention also. All right. As a Sydney fan, it must be Sydney Jets. Newcastle will be throwing everything at Sydney if they want to finish top six. I mean, Xander, look, I don't blame you for thinking MacArthur were eighth because the way the ladder's been going, I mean, MacArthur probably were eighth like a week or two ago, you know? It's just so up and down. Where will Ufuk Talay be next season, asks Marcus. It's a good question. We don't know. It could be Sydney. I could see that happening. He obviously has the links to Sydney. He was the former assistant coach there. It could be Melbourne Victory. There was some rumours that he was linked to Melbourne Victory a while ago, potentially to replace Tony Popovich after this season. So that could be an interesting move as well. But look, it could be somewhere else completely. It could be somewhere overseas. We'll see. I'd like to see him get a go at Sydney FC, replace Corica. Rabbit says, if Raw don't make it, we won't. Have some optimism. Have some optimism, Frenzied Rabbit. I will be supporting the Mariners this finals. Sorry for 2011. Carry the flame. Xander says he's hot for Sydney Newcastle. Xander says, I heard rumours of Italian clubs coming to Sydney in pre-season. Roma and Juve. I don't know if I'm just tripping. Roma and Sydney would be amazing. Pre-season game, in my opinion. Haven't heard anything about that, but that would be cool. The one rumour that was circulating for a bit was, I think, Bayern Munich. If I'm right, I think Bayern Munich were around potentially coming for maybe an A-League All-Stars game. I don't know if that's still on the cards or not. Yeah, Juventus against Sydney would you'd think would certainly pack at Allianz, yeah. But I would love to see that. Would love to see a big Italian club come over, man. We don't often get Italian clubs here, hey. And that's right, Troy. We don't talk about the 2011 Grand Final. We do not. We do not. Long time ago now. Feels like a long time ago, hey. So the question is, can Brisbane Roar come back in the second half? They need to. They need to. A draw won't be enough. A draw for Brisbane Roar and it's done. A loss or a draw and it's done. They need to win. They need to come back. That's what's going to make the second half really exciting. Second half is going to get underway in just a few minutes. I'll be back in just a moment, guys. Cheers. All right. Brisbane Roar. Do they throw the dice straight from the second half? We shall see. Second half about to kick off. All right. What we got? Players coming back out. Let's do this. Frenzied Rabbit, of course. Live at the stadium. Good to have our Frenzied Rabbit tonight. You're our live correspondent from Suncorp Stadium. We always love having fans tuning in live from the stadium. Xander and the Passers tuned in live from our Sydney FC games. Who scored for Sydney? Indeed, it was Robert Mack. Xander titling Robert Mack the Slovakian Messi. Frenzied Robert says, outside of Raw versus Villarreal, are there any other examples where A-League teams have beaten Europeans in exhibition matches? I could be wrong, but didn't Mariners beat Celtic? I remember going to that game. I think it was like 2011 or something. I could be wrong. But I remember Mariners playing Celtic. Hey, we're underway. The second half has just kicked off. Let's go. So Brisbane Roar need to score 2 goals if they want to play finals this season. You do not want to miss this second half. It has kicked off. Have they made any changes? Doesn't look like it. Sydney FC get an early free kick here. Lofondra's down. Oh, of course. That's right. Thanks for reminding me, Xander. Sydney beat Celtic last year. Oh, Xander's there as well. Xander, you in the stadium as well? There you go. We've got a couple of people on the chat. We've got a Brisbane Roar fan. We've got a Sydney FC fan in the stadium right now. There you go. There we go. Thanks for confirming, guys, in the chat. CCM did beat Celtic. When was that game? 2011. I went to it. I think it was 2011 or 2012 or something like that. Long time ago now. So there you go. And as Xander says here, A-League teams always get the better of Celtic, apparently. It was 2011. Thanks, Costa, for confirming. On the broadcast here, they've just shown the win probability 10% for Brisbane. 10% for Brisbane, 65% win chance for Sydney FC as it stands. Worth pointing out, the Brisbane Roar now attacking the goal that is in front of the Den, their active supporters, which should give the home side that little bit of encouragement. Well done, Gomorka winning that ball high up the field. Jay O'Shea taking on Grant. Jay O'Shea goes down, still on. Jez Lofthouse trying to sneak it in. Jack Rodwell should be able to deal with this. I just want to say in the chat that we here at Coastal Football do not condone any pitch invasions at all. We do not condone it. Troy went to Liverpool v Brisbane and Arsenal v Sydney, both sellouts. Arsenal v Sydney. Oh, yeah. When was that? That was like 5 years ago or something, wasn't it now? That was at Olympic Park, wasn't it? Goodness me. When you think about it, there's been a lot of big clubs have come to Australia over the years, hey? Julian Baker. Sorry, Beja. Is it Julian? How do you pronounce your last name? Is it Beja? Beja? Silent J. Says I received Diamante's shirt in the second season. He gave it to me after one of the Melbourne victory matches. I was so happy. I have something to remember about Alino. Dude, that's awesome. So corner here for Brisbane Roar. A few minutes into the second half. The Den. Look at the numbers in the Den, man. It looks so strong. Third corner of the game for Brisbane. Jay O'Shea with the in-swinger. Here we go. Decent delivery. Out to Lofthouse. Lofthouse strikes. Easy save for Redmayne. Jez Lofthouse has been one of Roar's most promising attacking outlets this match, but another save. There you go. A lot of you guys in the chat have been to these Been to these big games with European clubs coming over. Costa says I went to Man United v Palace last year. That's right. Manchester United also played Victory. I remember doing a watch along for that game. Actually, we did a watch along for that Man United Victory game in July. That's right. Wow. Long time ago. Nice move from Roar here. Lofthouse shifting the ball forward. As it stands, Brisbane Roar will not be playing finals football this season. 50 minutes ticked by on my broadcast here in Paramount Plus. Scott Neville shifts the ball forward for Hingett, right wing. Sydney FC defending. Sky Blues are going to have to be stronger defence this half because I know Brisbane are going to come at them. Ball's going to fall for O'Shea, who strikes just wide. Not just wide, very wide, in fact. That was a miscue from the Irishman. What are you doing for Anzac Day tomorrow? Probably going to hang with some family. Have some Anzac bickies. Xander went to the Barca All-Stars game. Garen Cole had a Rougeau on strings. I'm so impressed by these numbers that we're seeing in the den tonight. Anyway, here's Sydney FC on the attack. It's going to be all about the counterattacks, I think, for Sydney FC now. Brisbane looking to get their numbers forward. Was anyone here last year? We did a watch along for like a Roar MacArthur game, and there was a great clip that we put on YouTube Shorts where I tried to like make like a Brisbane Roar chant. Does anyone happen to remember that? Anyway, not sure if who was here from that, which was about a year ago now. We are Brisbane, hear us roar. Score a goal and score two more. And we straight up made all these Brisbane Roar chants. It was great. It was great fun. Come on, Brisbane. I want to see Brisbane win, not because I like them or anything, but just to make it more interesting for this race for the top six. It would mean that there'd be a handful of sides that are still in the running to finish in finals. Here comes Jez Lofthouse down the left. Cutting inside. Nice pass. Cleared away by Wilkinson. See, that's the difference between the two sides. It's what I was saying earlier. Like Sydney FC had that class. There's a little pass and run from Mac to score their goal, but Brisbane just don't quite have that quality in the final third. They've got promising, talent there in Lofthouse and Hoare, and Jay Shea is a good player in the number 10 position, but there's no quality. I mean, Skepovic is barely getting a touch. Here's a long ball for O'Shea. Oh, chance. The ball came forward. Jay Shea almost sneaking in. I mean, I almost wonder what Stefan Skepovic is doing, what his role is in this game, just because, I mean, even just there, like there was like a long ball that was played up and Jay Shea was the one contesting for it. Stefan Skepovic is clearly the more physical and taller player. Really bizarre. Anyway. Andre tuning in from Nigeria. There you go. Thanks for tuning in. No worries, Xander. Thanks for tuning in, mate. Hope you enjoy the match and the atmosphere there. Costa was there. We were talking about the Brisbane chance. The Sydney chance, right? As well. That's right. Sydney FC going to score a goal here. Calling it. It's going to fall just wide. Good chance. Jack Rodwell hasn't scored a goal this season for the Sky Blues. Hasn't played too many games for the Sky Blues, to be fair. Sydney FC. Here's Joe's Lofthouse. No, it's Jay Shane. Now Lofthouse in the box. Can he work his way? Dude, there's just so many Sky Blue shirts in the road. they're getting into good areas, but there's just so many defenders there. Having to go back out here to Truan, who's going to play it wide for Hingett, and that ball's going to go out of play. Just breaking down for Roar at the moment. KFR's in here. Says, what's up, big lad ghost? Good to see you in the chat, man. Hope you're doing well. Sky Blues dealing with this Brisbane Roar attack so far, 10 minutes into this first half. Oh, Redmayne skies that shot. And as I just saw the comment there as well at the same time from Frenzied Rabbit, Redmayne doozy there indeed. Went to clear that ball and it just spun off his leg. Marcus says, Steve Corica must have told his team to park the bus and just get the job done. And I don't blame him. Look, even a draw will be okay for Sydney. Even a draw will do. But yeah, man, they're defending with some real determination here. Throw in comes in, headed away. Sydney, Brisbane, well done to make it difficult for Sydney to break out from the back here, but the Sky Blues have been able to do so now up the middle of the park. Sydney FC. Come on, you boys in blue. That's right. I forgot how that chant went for a second. Come on, you boys in blue. Mm-mm-mm. Come on, you boys in blue. Tips for A-League champion this year. I mean, the safe bet City, right? Gotta be Melbourne City. I mean, the exciting thing is that Adelaide, Wanderers, Mariners are all going to give them a run for their money, but City's definitely favourites. Best team over the whole season. Jay McLaren's in good form. What do you think of Perth Glory? Be honest. Perth Glory are a side that have a lot of promise. I don't mind Perth Glory. I think they've got a decent young coach in Ruben Zadkovic who's trying to implement a good system there. And I think next season they'll be strong. I think next season they'll be much more competitive as Ruben Zadkovic continues to build his side. So yeah, Perth Glory, decent. Oh, imagine that. KFR says Aaron Quinton 90th minute versus City in the final to win the league. Imagine that. Imagine that. The scenes. Dagan asks, does Sydney need a new striker in your opinion? I don't know if they need a new one. I think Adam Lafondra, when he's fit, is on his day, could be one of the best strikers in the competition. He's starting to get a little bit older, of course. He's in his 30s. Patrick Wood is a decent replacement for when he's not there. So I don't think they necessarily need a new one right now. I think unless Lafondra is going to step away after this season, then maybe. Well, then obviously I think they do need a new one. But for now, Lafondra is still decent. Nice little turn there from Caceres to win that foul. The skillful player, Anthony Caceres. Possession stats in the second half on the broadcast, 62% to Brisbane, just 38 for Sydney. Sky Blues almost with a chance here. Jack Hingett clears that ball. It's crossed into a dangerous area by Max Burgess. Brisbane can come away with it now. KFR reckons McLaren needs to go to the Premier League. Best Glory player? I mean, Ryan Williams is probably their best player. Keegan Jelicic has been class, though. Keegan Jelicic, I think he's, just 20 years of age. He's had a really solid season and very promising player. So those two are up there for me. Speaking of Perth, Troy, of course, reminding us that Oliver Sale is going to Perth at the end of next season, of course. The end of this season. Oliver Sale making the long trip from Wellington to Perth, playing at the Glory next year. We're going to come back to the comments because here's Brisbane Roar. They're in behind. Lofthouse with a good cross. Oh, what a save. Redmayne off the line. O'Shea. How has it stayed out? What an opportunity for Brisbane. On the hour mark to equalise. Redmayne, incredible. Socceroos keeper coming up clutch there. Huge. My goodness. What a chance. And the pressure is relieved. Sydney FC have the ball back. But what an opportunity. Brisbane Roar finally getting into some better positions. Now win a free kick. And that might be a yellow card. Here's the replay. So Lofthouse delivered it. And it was the header from Skepovic. And it's the double save from Redmayne. The header from Skepovic, which had plenty of power on it. And then the strike from O'Shea. And then Rodweller was able to clear. What a chance. My goodness. Pierre's contract expiring. What'll happen to him? Marcus says Mariners would need someone like Pierre's. We'd love to see Parias. I would love to see Dylan Parias at Mariners. He's got plenty of pace, doesn't he? All right, here we go. Yeah, I would love to see Parias at Mariners for sure. Keegan Jelicic is class. He's a very silky player. All right, here's Brisbane. They've made a change here. Brisbane Armiento's on for Hingett, which we'll have a look at how the shape looks, but that could potentially be a change to a back three. Great challenge from Lofthouse, winning the ball back. Long ball. And it's going to be pulled back for offside. Yep. Great challenge from Lofthouse. Look at that. Beautiful in the replay on Segecic. So Carlo Armiento has come onto the field, a left winger on for right back, Jack Hingett. So what does it look like? Potentially a back three of Neville, Aldred, and Courtney Perkins. Armiento to play left on the left side. And well, perhaps we could be wrong. Perhaps that's Henry Hall now slotting into right back. Armiento, barely a minute on the field, has already been booked. That's right, yellow card speed run. So Armiento, oh yeah, just seeing on the replay, just the boot, high boot, and looked like he made contact with Ryan Grant's face there. Completely accidental. Completely accidental. I mean, is that a worthy yellow card? I mean, I guess it is. I mean, he's kicked his face. So. But, I mean, completely accidental, right? But, got to be yellow, right? Troy says, great to see Brisbane back at Suncorp. It is indeed. Famous stadium for the club. Good to see them back there. Of course, Brisbane Roar now playing A-League men's team, now playing all their games at Suncorp Stadium next year, which is great news. Sydney FC set piece, decent delivery. Back post, going to go out for a throw. Sydney FC away, they're making plenty of noise here tonight. You can see them bouncing in that far corner. Good to see. Nice move from Burgess on the wing. Burgess delivering. Away by Courtney Perkins. Raw need to get up the other end of the field. Need to create some chances. Need to score some goals. Again, having a look at how the ladder stands. Brisbane Roar are out of finals contention. With the way it stands, Sydney FC will secure their place in the top 6 and more than likely finish 5th, which could set up a Wanderers Sydney derby in the elimination finals, which would be beautiful. What are last thoughts on Cameron Cook? I think he's pretty solid. I think he's had a decent season for Perth. Obviously, no Brad Jones, no Liam Reddy for much of the season, so he's a good young keeper. But with Ollie Sale coming in, looks like Cameron Cook might have to be shifting back to the bench. Canberra to win the A-League Championship in 2025. Love the early prediction. Can't wait to see Canberra in the A-League. Carlo Armiento definitely playing left wing. So it looks like it is Henry Hall who's shifted back to right back, which is a shame for Henry because he's a good player in attack. I could be wrong, though. Actually, looking at the lot, we now see Henry Hall up the other end of the field. We need another look at the field and so we can dissect this lineup. Has anyone got any insight in terms of what formation Brisbane's playing at the moment? They are one of those teams that love to change formation. Them and Perth, they both love changing formation throughout games. Oh, of course. In fact, I should have thought of that. It's Kai Truan. So Kai Truan has moved to right back. Which means Jay Shea has shifted back into the centre of midfield alongside Gamulka. So it appears that Jez Lofthouse is playing off the right wing and Henry Hall centrally alongside Skepovic, which is a good move. Henry Hall is the kind of player you want inside the opposition box, creating the chances. Anyway, here comes Sydney FC looking to create a chance of their own. Ball might fall here. There's a heavy collision between Segicic and Holmes. Jordan Holmes copping it in the stomach here by the looks of things. And is down hurt. Adrian Segicic just going for the ball by the looks of things. He was onside too. Almost getting to it. Both players committing for the ball. Oh, interesting comment here. It says, the off-season is so long, maybe it's time for a State of Origin tournament. 6 states playing each other once and top 2 final. Played in one city. Thoughts? That's an interesting idea. It's an interesting idea. And look, I like to be a positive football fan most of the time. And I'm open to new ideas, and that could be cool. I think there's other things that I'd like to see explored before that, maybe like a magic round, sort of what they do in the NRL and AFL now. But yeah, it would be an interesting idea. So as it stands, Sydney FC securing their place in the finals. Brisbane, they got to do something different here. There's been a late challenge from Joe Lolly on Courtney Perkins, which might be deserving of a yellow card. Doesn't look like it's going to be. "68 minutes have ticked past on my broadcast here, Paramount Plus. Roar, moving down the right. Good ball inside for Lofthouse. Great chance here for Brisbane. O'Shea in the box. In fact, it's Henry Hall. Henry Hall still going. He's down. And it's going to be a corner. There's appeals from everywhere. It looked like Henry Hall was taken off the ball by a Sydney FC defender. There's some concern for Henry Hall, who's down hurt. And surely the VAR has to have a look at that. Frenzy Rabbit says Henry Hall kicked in the box very obviously here. Could be a pen. Lofthouse with a great pass back to Henry Hall. Let's have a look. This replay will be interesting. Oh, that looks like a pen. That has to be a pen. Wilkinson has brought down Henry Hall clearly there. Have they dismissed it? It's a clear penalty. They've dismissed it so quickly. VAR is not even interested. Am I seeing a different replay here? That looked like a blatant penalty. Alex Wilkinson came through and just took out Henry Hall. And he ends up on the floor. Bizarre. Bizarre. Anyway, it's going to be a corner here. It's going to be a corner here for Brisbane Roar. What a chance. My goodness. Big moment in this game. But anyway, Raw have the corner. Armiento left foot swinging in. Gormulka near post. Out for O'Shea, who lobs it back in. Cleared by Burgess. Drama at Suncorp Stadium. Drama. My goodness. Handball. Did we see a handball? Did we see a handball? I didn't see a handball. I did not see a handball. Take it with a good question here regarding Mariners player Marco Tilio asks, would you want Marco Tilio on a permanent deal? Yes. And Maresh contract extension? Yes. Especially if the talk about Cummings leaving is true. Hang on, we're going to come back to that because, there is a shout for handball here. Skepovic appealed for it off on Wilkinson. And the replays are showing that it definitely strikes the hand. But did it come off? Did it rebound onto the hand? Anyway. Drama with 20 minutes to go at Suncorp Stadium. Sydney FC coming forward here. A goal here for Sydney will pretty much end things in this contest. Remember, Brisbane need a win. Brisbane need a win. So another Sydney FC goal. And it might be a mountain too steep to climb for the Queensland club. Spicy. This is spicy stuff, man. Dan is not happy, says Frenzied Rabbit, who's tuning it live from the stadium. Are you in the den? Are you in the den, Frenzied Rabbit? Thoughts on a national second division? Only one Perth team is sad. Great news for Australian football. It's great for Australian football. So another substitution here for the Roar, Jez Lofthouse, who has been decent this game. He's going to be coming off to be replaced by Joe Knowles, striker. Can also play in the wide areas. Joe Knowles. We remember Joe Knowles when he came onto the scene, burst onto the scene in that friendly against Leeds United during the off-season last year. What can he provide? Can he be the saviour for Brisbane? They need 2 goals. Brisbane Roar need 2 goals. The equation is simple. 20 minutes to go. They can't let Sydney score at the other end. That's the only problem. Lafondra. Lolly on the right for Sydney. Brisbane got to hold him out here. Just got to hold him out here, man. Come on, Brisbane. Come on, Roar. So Joe Knowles now playing right wing, where Lofthouse was. Sydney FC with a decent little spell of possession here. Looking to control the later stages of this game. Shatter says the Den is making some good noise tonight. Yeah, it looks to be a fantastic turnout, man, which is great to see as well. Brisbane Roar's active support looking strong. Ooh, most underrated player on both teams. I think Kai Truin is very underrated for Brisbane Roar. He's a very classy young defensive midfielder. And for Sydney, the most underrated player? Underrated player. I mean, I was going to say Max Burgess, but I feel like he's received a lot of spotlight. So I'll probably say Anthony Caceres. He's probably underrated, hey? Will promotion relegation format be introduced once second division commences? I don't think so. It won't be initially anyway. Maybe in the future, we'll see, but not initially. Yes, Shadow. We were talking about it before this one, actually. Says how crazy was that Perth Adelaide game yesterday. Not a Perth fan, but I was screaming when Taggart scored to make it 4-3. Dude, it was insane. One of the games of the season, if not the game of the season, and one of the most crazy finishes to an A-League game in competition history. It was crazy. Taggart says Truman is so good. We love him at Glory. Glory already have 17 defensive midfielders, don't they? Or central midfielders. Anyway, he's Ryan Grant's going for a lung-busting run, but Joe Lolly doesn't want to utilise the pass. 75 minutes have ticked by in this game. Lolly with a nice switch of play, but that's cut out. Truman, forward for Knowles. Brisbane going to get numbers forward here, man. Get some raw Salona action happening. Marcus says, my friend told me Adelaide would crush Perth. And then when I told him the score, he was shocked. Yeah, man. I mean, to be fair, Adelaide probably were going into that game as favourites. But yeah, Perth took it to them for sure. Costa says Gauchi deserves best goalkeeper for this season. He's up there. For me, it's between him and Lawrence Thomas. Lawrence Thomas. If you count Oxborough, that's right, yeah. Mitch Oxborough. Has he played this season, Mitch Oxborough? Is he still at the club? Good shot of the crowd here. On the broadcast, they're just showing some shots of the crowd. "76 minutes have ticked past. Brisbane Roar still without a goal in this game. They needed to score. Burgess can't find his pass forward. Sydney FC making it difficult for Brisbane to break out here. And here's Lolly teeing it up. Lafondra could finish it, and he does. Sydney FC find a second. It's Adam Lafondra. And that goal might well and truly have ended Brisbane Roar's finals hopes. Brisbane Roar, heartbroken. They've fought hard this game, but Sydney with too much class. Another goal. Shadow says that should be the win for Sydney. I agree with you. That should be too much for Brisbane to come back from, of course. Brisbane Roar needed to score. Needed to score 2 goals. Now need to score 3 with the way things stand. Adam Lafondra. Big goal. And not only does it end Brisbane Roar's hopes, but it just about secures Sydney FC's position in the top 6 now. You can see here, here's the live ladder. Sydney FC, 5th place, 35 points. Decent little buff there above Wellington with the goal difference as well. Should finish 5th, which means Wellington Phoenix are the team in danger of slipping out. Brisbane Roar sitting second bottom and potentially could be seeing themselves pick up a wooden spoon. All right. Here we go. This is it, man. 12 minutes to go in regular time. Brisbane Roar need to throw everything. Need to throw everything forward. They get to commit numbers forward. It was a great finish indeed. Brisbane 0, Sydney 2. Sydney FC preparing 2 substitutions. Max Burgess running forward. Joe Lolly, his strike is deflected. No, goes out for a goal kick. So 2 changes here for Sydney FC. Lafondra, the goal scorer who just scored coming off of Patrick Wood. Paulo Retro will be entering the field as well. Retro coming on to replace Joe Lolly, which should see Max Burgess move up to the right wing. Wow. Disappointing for Brisbane, man. They came into this game with so much hype, so much excitement, so much promise. Some good home form. And that's right. Shadow says could be getting a Sydney Derby elimination final or even Central Coast v Sydney elim final. Could be anything, hey? Could be anything. We shall see. Best central midfielder this season, asks Taggart. The big question. I'm going to be doing my team of the season in about a week or so after the regular season finishes. But best central midfielder, I mean, there's a few candidates up there. I mean, I guess you could include Aidan O'Neill in that debate. He's been fantastic. Callum Neuenhoff has had a great season in the centre of midfield. I think those two guys are up there. But for me, my brain just goes straight to Aidan O'Neill. Kunde says, I don't think there's anything else Brisbane Roar can do at this point. Yeah, this game, the mountain is too steep for them to climb now, I think. They need 3 goals. They need to score 3 goals here if they want to keep their finals hopes alive. With 10 minutes remaining, it's unlikely. All right, here we go. Armiento left wing. Can he get a good delivery? And he generally provides a good cross. This one's deflected away for a corner. Brisbane need to score, and they need to score now. So chance here with the corner. They've had a number of corners tonight, Brisbane, haven't they? They've definitely been leading the corner count. But they've failed to score. Here we go. Here's a chance. Armiento chips it in. Great chance. Coming out here for Knowles. Now O'Shea. Knowles goes down, holding his leg. And the shot is claimed by Redmayne. Was there a penalty shout there for Knowles? Found himself on the floor. Sydney FC can press here. So much space here for Sydney to push forward into. They've pushed Brisbane right back now. This is not looking good for Brisbane Roar. Do you reckon Brisbane should have had a penalty earlier? It looked to me like it should have been a penalty. I wanted to see more replays, but from my view, yeah, thought it should have been a penalty. Who do you think should replace Diamante next season? I'd love to see another Diamante type player with creativity. I don't think they need to replace him just because he's doesn't really have a major role in the team at the moment. Lockie Wales has pretty much made that number 10 position his own, and they got James Truisi who can play there as well. So I don't think they necessarily need to, rush to replace him. Who's going to be champion? Got to be Melbourne City, right? Melbourne City. Adelaide Wanderers, Mariners will give them a run for their money, but Melbourne City just too strong. I reckon they'll be favourites for the championship. Thanks for the question, Finetta. Not long to go. It's been a great game. Brisbane Roar have been decent. Have created chances. But it's the Sky Blues who have been more clinical when getting forward. Taken the opportunities when they've come, Sydney. Brisbane Roar are running out of time if they want to make a miracle comeback. We've seen some epic comebacks. Only have to go as far as the 2011 grand final. It was 2012, wasn't it? 2012 grand final. Might have been 2011. One of those years. Brisbane Roar, of course, coming back at the death, scoring 2 goals late to end up winning that grand final on penalties. Here's Armiento in the box. Chip cutting it back. Courtney Perkins. He goes down. It's play on. That's got to be a free kick. Yep. So Brisbane Roar. Now, this is Jay O'Shea territory. Carmiento knows how to take a free kick as well. But Brisbane Roar have a great chance here to score. I mean, with 84 minutes played, they need the goal. But Max Burgess was just a little bit late there on Courtney Perkins. And a wall of 4 will be set up. Sydney FC. Looking to hold on here. Sky Blues feeling pretty safe right now with that 2-goal buffer. Brisbane a goal here from this free kick would make this last five or so minutes much more interesting. So we've got Jay O'Shea, the most likely to take the strike here. Here we go. The Irishman, Carlo Armiento, providing a left foot option. Armiento knows how to hit them as well. Who's it going to be? O'Shea, off the wall, out for a corner. Just too low from Jay O'Shea. Well done, Sydney FC. Wall getting in the way. Corner. Oh man, it was on target too. It would have gone in, or it would have made it difficult for Redmayne anyway. Anyway, here's the corner for Brisbane Roar. O'Shea in swinger. Decent delivery, dude. Sydney FC defending this corner as well, and I think we've been pulled back for a foul here potentially. Free kick for Sydney. Wow. Desperation for Brisbane. They can't find the goal. It says XG, very interesting. Brisbane have got the higher numbers in the XG, don't they? They just showed us that a moment ago. They've had the chances. Sydney FC's best player? Probably Robert Mack at the moment, hey. What do you think, Bobby? I'd probably say Robert Mack. He scored that first goal tonight. He's been good this season. Him or Joe Lolly? I like both of them. Max Burgess has had a good season too. Brisbane Roar. Oh, it's frustrating to watch now for Brisbane too, which Hannah has been for much of the season, where they've just underperformed. They haven't delivered. They've struggled against quality opponents. And we're seeing Sydney's quality on show tonight. Time is running out. There hasn't been too much stoppage time, I wouldn't think. 2 more subs for Sydney, Kacharski and Goodwood Reich coming on. Luke Bratton being replaced. Julian would love to see one matter at West United next season. Tackett says, I picked this as the potential upset this round. Brisbane haven't looked good at all. They have had some of those chances throughout the game, but yeah, Sydney FC just too strong in defence this game, hey. I mean, overall, I guess the big talking point, the big takeaway from this game is Sydney FC just like much more tighter in defence now. And they're tightening up their defence at the right part of the season. That's a heavy challenge. Clean tackle, according to the referee. Throw for Brisbane. 88 minutes have been played. We're entering the final stages of this game. Tommy Aldred looks like he's pushed forward from defence. Throwing the big bodies forward. Not long to go now. If you guys have been enjoying the stream, want to support the channel, we do a lot of A-League streams here. Make sure you hit the like button. Got our live watch along next Friday for the doubleheader. Adelaide Mariners, City Wanderers next Friday night. Sydney FC, they could kill it off here with a third goal. Brisbane have committed numbers forward. Well done, cutting that one out. Scott Neville. Henry Hall on the left for Brisbane. Still Hall. Still Henry Hall. Been pushed back. This is a superb defensive display from Sydney FC. They've been under the pump for much of the game, to be fair. Brisbane Roar started brightly. And Sydney this season, one thing that's characterised their season overall is their leaky defence, shaky defence. They've shown up in this game, haven't they? And they're coming up strong. Wilkinson, Jack Rodwell not giving them anything in the centre of defence. Here's a chance, maybe. Half chance. No, Knowles can't break through. We've got 4 minutes of injury time, which all but confirms Brisbane Roar's fate. No chance of coming back now. So Brisbane Roar, as it stands, knocked out of finals contention. And next week, go to Melbourne Victory, tough away day. Potentially a battle for the wooden spoon. If MacArthur get a result, if MacArthur defeat Wellington next week at home, Brisbane Roar will drop to bottom and will need to get a result against Victory, get a win against Victory if they want to avoid the wooden spoon. So all of a sudden, we're going from talking about Brisbane Roar's finals chances to now Brisbane Roar in a wooden spoon battle. That just sums up the A-League this season. It's been so up and down. But that's what a loss here means for Brisbane Roar, not the return they wanted to Suncorp Stadium. Free kick for Sydney. Sky Blues have been good this game, man. They knew they were going to defend here today. Weddle says, just a shout. Phil Jones hasn't signed a contract yet for Manchester United. Do you think there's a possibility he comes to Australia? Can't see it happening. It'd be cool, but I can't see it happening. Frenzied Rabbit says, GG Sydney shows we have work to do in the off-season. Lockie, what would you do to improve the Roar? I think they need to go through a serious rebuild. I think they need a coach to come in to implement a really strong identity and a strong style of play. Something that's going to be consistent and utilize the best skills that the players possess. But look, there's good individual players there at Brisbane Roar. There is good individual players. They just need some consistency in their lineup. I think that's going to be a big thing for Roar. And find a good striker. One of the things that Brisbane have struggled to do in the last couple of seasons is have a consistent striker. We thought Charlie Austin was going to be that at the start of the season. That obviously didn't work out. They need a strong striker. Marcus agrees. Interesting shout from Taggart. So Sydney should be looking at Truan for a long-term replacement for Bratton, maybe. That's a fair shout. And that's right, Taggart. They need to watch your career mode, yeah. If you guys haven't seen it, we've kicked off the Brisbane Roar career mode. The video link is in the description if you want to check out the Brisbane Roar career mode after this live stream. Just a minute to go in this game. 2 minutes now. And we are just about done. Make sure you're here Friday night. 7:45, it's kicking off Australian Eastern Standard Time. Adelaide Mariners, can't wait to see my Mariners taking Adelaide. Fingers crossed we can get 3 points. We'll also be keeping an eye on Melbourne City Wanderers. Armiento's free kick here, headed away. O'Shea can't get his shot away. 30 seconds remaining. Well done, Sydney in defence. Throw in here. And that's right. The Luongo career revival at Brisbane. Starring Coastal Football. That's right. If you guys missed it, we signed former Socceroo, Mass Luongo to Brisbane Roar. Hey, here's how the ladder stands. Sydney FC are going to defeat Brisbane Roar 2-0. Secure the place in the final. Sydney FC have Jets at home next week. Brisbane Roar have Victory away. Brisbane Roar want to avoid the wooden spoon. Let's have a look at next week's matches. Full time in this game officially. It's over. Brisbane Roar season is over. Disappointment for Nick Green and his side. Let's have a look down here at match day 26 of 26 in the A-League. Exciting way to finish off the round. Join us here on YouTube live next Friday. Adelaide Mariners, City Wanderers kicking off at the same time. Then a huge Saturday. Starts off with Macarthur Wellington and Sydney Jets kicking off at the same time. Primetime game is Victory Roar. And then finishing off late here, Glory, Western United. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. This has been an entertaining game, but a really impressive performance from the Sky Blues, who now secure their place in the finals. Looks like they will be finishing fifth, potentially setting up a Sydney derby in the elimination final. Wouldn't that be great? Enjoy the rest of your Monday night. Have a great Anzac Day. I'll see you guys in a few days' time, Friday night, for the biggest watch along of the season. Let's go Mariners. Taking over Adelaide United. Thanks so much, guys. Taggart says, great stream. Costa, thanks for tuning in as always. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one. My name is Lockie. This is Costa for Football. Go check out our Mariners Jets match day vlog or our Brisbane Roar career mode. Video links are in the description. See you guys in the next one.